So with what you're doing right now, how have you shifted your training to target more positional skill work?
So I would say the evolution of my career started as a strength conditioning coach. So I guess let's take a step back. I was a college athlete, college soccer, 4 years. That was my passion. Realized I wasn't good enough to go pro, which is probably most of us. And then we're like, what's next? So I went into strength conditioning because I had a good mentor that taught me you can actually make people faster. Where my whole life I was told you can't teach speed. And then one day guy's like, yeah, you can, and actually I'll show you how to do it. And he showed me how to make someone faster. And I was like, whoa, like paradigm shift. This is cool. I know you can get stronger, but you can make someone faster. That's awesome. And looking back, I was like, I should have known that. But you're just told like you can't teach speed all the time. It's just natural. So I started as a strength coach, like become a master of that skill, right? Can you like teach guys how to move well, how to progressively overload, how to, I guess like find movements that are specific to them, all that kind of stuff, right? And you learn how to periodize training. And then when I watch in the field, I'm like, how can I connect what I'm doing in the weight room to the field side? And you start doing some rehabs, which you've done a lot of, right? You do field rehab and like, okay, I've got to solve this problem. Here's the demands of the sport and the demands of your position. How can I bridge that gap? And the more I started to do that, I realized, you know what? I think the evolution of what I can do to separate myself is come up with this like positional specific conditioning that's not just like, oh, we're going to go do a bunch of sprints and throw a ball in there. It's like, what do you actually do on the field for my guys as a soccer player? But then like, what do you do as an outside back? And then outside of that, like the next step is you individually, like not just an outside back, but how do you play that position? And so if I can look at that and then reverse engineer backwards and say, okay, here's the components that make that position successful. And here's the components that make you successful. So for like an outside player, it might be high speed running. That is just like a blanket thing that they need to have. They need to have the capacity to do a lot of high speed running. And so like we might train max velocity movement and we might find ways that we can load someone. But I can honestly have a guy run from 18 to 18 and get 100 meters of high speed running. But is that specific to the position? Probably not.